Shri Vishnu
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Jaya Sriman Narayana.
Jaya Sriman Narayana. Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Jaya Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Jaya Shri Guru.
Jaya Shri Guru.
Sanatana Dharma Jayate.
Sanatana Dharma Jayate.
Dharma Rashtra Jayate.
Dharma Rashtra Jayate.
Surya Vangsha Jayate.
Surya Vangsha Jayate.
International Sanatana Dharma Society Jayate.
International Sanatana Dharma Society Jayate.
Om Harihi Om. Om Tat Sat. Namaste everyone, and welcome to the latest live stream and live satsangha here in our temple of the International Sanatana Dharma Society. As people know, we have viewers all throughout the world in multiple nations. The last time I checked, our videos are seen in approximately 135, 140 nations throughout the world. And it is truly a blessing, let me tell you. I've heard from so many people over the years, so many people, that this live stream is a blessing to them in many different ways, that people look forward to these live streams very much. And let me tell you, for all of us here in our temple, and most especially for myself, this is the greatest of blessings. It is my blessing to have your association, not just the people who are physically here, whose faces I can all see, but everyone who I can't necessarily with physical eyes see right now, who are here with us every Sunday as we do these live streams. The world, as I, and again, not just me, others as well, but as I have told you for quite a long time now, 2024 is an amazing year, and things are happening the likes of which we can't even imagine. And indeed, we're only seeing the surface. If we actually knew what was actually happening in our world right now behind the scenes, we would be amazed. This is an era in which so much is happening. Bad, yes, bad, on the surface only. But beneath the scenes, behind the scenes, beneath the surface, extremely good things are happening. In any case, with both the bad and the good that are happening throughout the world, it is crucial that now, today, in 2024, and continuing for the end of 2024, a little bit into 2025, it is crucial that we do not fear anything that we are seeing and that we are about to see. It is crucial that we not worry. It is crucial that we be positive, that we be white-pilled in every way imaginable. It is crucial that we take shelter at the feet of Sriman Narayana. Because if not now, then when? You know, it's interesting. I wasn't planning on saying any of this, actually. This is going to be a Q&A. But it's interesting. When you look at the life of Prahlada Maharaja, and when specifically he is in a school with other children, and he explains to them, and he's about 5 or 6 years old, and so are the other children, and he explains to them, in essence, now is the time to focus on spirituality and on fully knowing ourselves and embracing God's plan for our lives. Prahlad tells his fellow classmates, again, when they're 5, 6 years old, this is true for us today. Doesn't matter how old you are. I doubt if there are too many 5-year-olds listening in right now, but there are people who I know are teenagers, people who I know are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And now is the time to absolutely take shelter at the feet of Sriman Narayana. Not out of fear, on the contrary, having transcended fear, understanding that what is Krishna's message to us in the Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva pabebhyoho mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. In this verse, Krishna explains to us the summation of the Bhagavad Gita, and for those who don't know, that's chapter 18, verse 66. He gives us the summation of the Bhagavad Gita, that is God's instructions to us. He gives us the summation of the teachings of the entirety of the Vedic scriptures. And more, he gives to us the highest principle in all legitimate and authentic spirituality. What does he say? These dual principles. He says, and I won't give you the full translation, just the important things. He says, surrender unto me. Surrender unto me. And then, ma shuchaha, do not fear. It is in surrendering to God that we lose all of our fear, and we must lose our fear in order to surrender to God. When we surrender to God, what happens to us? We are empowered. No, it's not magic. It's not a magic power. For the little occultic and left-hand little cretins out there who think everything's about power, power, power. Power, power, power. Let me do some little magical formula and get power. No, we become empowered by God, such that we do not lose ourselves. On the contrary, we now know ourselves like we never have. But in humble surrender to that which is truly our source and which is the eternal, we become empowered with humility, with sincerity, with honesty. When we surrender, we become empowered by God such that now nothing can stop us. And when I say nothing can stop us, again, I mean with humility. When you meet a purely liberated Shuddha Bhakta, pure devotee, what you meet is an individual who acts as if he himself is not even there. I actually said this to a person once, maybe 15 years ago here in Omaha. I said, look at me and what do you see? And he was confused. This was a very nice Indian Hindu man, an engineer. And I said to him, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. And yet there is. I have not lost myself, on the contrary. More, those devotees who fully surrender at the feet of God, not only do you not lose yourself, but you find yourself, and yet at the same time, you have such humility that as far as you're concerned, that's your attitude. Not even words, just. And yet you are empowered by God in such a way that if God asks you, within a moment, without even thinking about it, you will become an emperor of the world in his service. That's what I mean by empowerment. And yet to you, imagine a small army, small meaning millions, but imagine a small army of such individuals operating in our world today. Individuals who have emptied themselves of what they are not, of false ego, of false pride, of lust, of egotism, lust after power, etc., etc., illusion, stupidity, Imagine a small army of individuals who have rid themselves of all of these anarthas, all of these chains, who have quite literally ripped these chains away from themselves. And now they are empowered by God, having surrendered unto Him. Imagine. As I say all this, this is what's important. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to the people in our temple. I'm talking to you. If you're good. If you're not good, this could never apply to you anyway. But if you're a good person, and the vast majority of our people watching right now are, this applies to you. Surrender unto God. Become empowered by God in such a way that, wanting no power, you will be empowered by God to make this world beautiful again. To restore what once was, all that was good, all that was beautiful, all that was bright, all that was true in this world. Those who are close to me, you know what I mean. And oh, what we are going to restore. So in 2024, as things go on and you see craziness, you see crazy things happening, you see us possibly on the verge, and it will only be the verge, seemingly, of World War III, and on, and craziness happening in cities, and governments becoming more totalitarian, etc., etc. As you see all the bad things, keep your eye out for the good things too. Because for every bad thing, you're going to see 10 good things. Those who know see them all the time. I saw multiple yesterday and today alone. In the news, many places. This is what is happening. When the dust settles, the evil will have been vanquished. Vinashaya dushkritam. Vinashaya dushkritam. Vinashaya dushkritam. The evil will be vanquished. If you're evil, there is no future for you. And if you are good, the future is yours. Surrender. Do not fear. And do your seva. Do your seva. Do your seva to help to awaken others in this world. To help to alleviate fear in the hearts and the minds of those around you. Because they are going to need you. As the next few weeks, months, and a little bit longer continues to progress. So this is my message for you. You don't know how to help this world? Then help us to help the world. The International Sanatana Dharma Society is on the very cutting edge. We are quite literally the tip of the spear as far as bringing Dharma to this world. Help us. Oh, I'll be blunt. Become a member of the International Sanatana Dharma Society. Tithe monthly. Give donations. We're waiting for angel donors. I know they're coming. People who will donate $1 million, $100,000. If you have $1 that you can spare, please donate $1. Donate $5. Donate whatever you can. Help us by volunteering. Join our Discord server. Very important. We have an online community of hundreds and hundreds of ISDS devotees. And I'm sure if it has not already been done, it has already been done, I believe. Very good. The link should be up in the chat. Join that link. Click onto that link. Join our Discord server. And be involved in our community of hundreds of devotees in multiple dozens of nations throughout the world. Help the International Sanatana Dharma Society in every way that you can, and especially this year, as we continue to grow tremendously. So with that, I promise we will get to questions and answers. I just wanted to make a few very quick announcements. First of all, I mentioned that our initiation guide, Taking Refuge in Dharma, the ISDS Initiation Guide, is about to be reissued, and it's much bigger than the previous edition. So if you have the previous edition of that book, which I believe that itself was the second edition, the third edition will be coming out, and it will be approximately 100 pages longer than the previous edition. I'm doing the last bits of formatting. Then at that point, we're waiting for the cover design to be done. At that point, it will be uploaded onto Amazon. It will be available both in print version and in Kindle version. Give us a few weeks. It will be up pretty quickly and available for sale. When it is, I'll be doing a live stream focusing on that book. The other thing is that we are creating a nice little booklet with the tentative title of Welcome to Sanatana Dharma. This is a booklet that likewise will be available on Amazon. It will not be available in Kindle, just print version, and you'll understand why in a second. This is going to be a very short work of approximately 24 pages. It's with the idea that individuals who want to purchase a small booklet like this and then give them out to friends, to relatives, to people they meet who are sincerely interested in Sanatana Dharma, they can do so in a very economical way. Indeed, we're going to arrange the pricing so that the ISDS makes no profit on this. So we're going to keep the cost of this little booklet as low as possible. And the ISDS will not make a profit on this book. We do on the other books, and it goes directly to our nonprofit. But on this booklet, we are not going to be making any sort of profit. Instead, we want this to be something that people can buy a dozen of, 10 of, 5 of, 100 of, with the idea of, again, distributing them to people. So we're making this as inexpensive as possible. That will come out after Initiation Guide. After that, we will be reissuing the Dharma Manifesto. Arctos was wonderful in that they created the first edition of the Dharma Manifesto. The second edition will be published by the ISDS. Again, it will be expanded tremendously. I'm guessing a minimum of 100 pages. We'll have new cover design. It will be available in print and on Kindle, etc. That will come out after the two works that I have just mentioned. And after that, we'll go on to other books. So as these books become available, we will let you know, and we'll do special live streams on all of these. The last thing that I want to mention is, once again, the book that I have consistently here on my right, and that is Song of the Sun. If you have not yet purchased this book, you are depriving yourself of something truly wonderful. This is a work of, shall we call it fiction? Fiction, semi-fiction. We'll call it fiction, like Lord of the Rings is supposedly fiction. This is a work that was written by Krishna Prasada, one of our leading disciples, and let me just state this in a nutshell. The philosophy, the worldview, the ideological heart of the International Sanatana Dharma Society and of myself is contained in this book in story form. And the story itself, trust me, we've had people extremely educated, extremely expert on literature who have read this book, and they are amazed at how well written it has been. So please, when you have a chance, get Song of the Sun. I don't know if you want to put the link up on the chat. If you don't mind, please feel free. Purchase this book today. You will not regret it. With that, thank you for your indulgence. Let us now go to questions. So please feel free to begin asking your questions. Let me just go back a little bit to see if I missed any. I know there are some more questions coming up right now. There's a little bit of a delay also of at least 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. So give me a few moments as I look at what's coming in. Very good. Here is a question about Bhagavad Gita, and it is, greetings Acharyaji. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is said to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Yet when he speaks of his powers, he seems to be speaking as Brahman. Can you clarify this? Many thanks. Absolutely. First of all, let me just see again how you say this. I see. All right. You say that it is said, Krishna is said to be an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Let me just clarify that first. Throughout the entire tradition of Sanatana Dharma, there is no debate about this whatsoever. Throughout the scriptures of Sanatana Dharma, all of the orthodox sampradayas of Sanatana Dharma, it is very much explained that Krishna, Rama, Narasingha, Kalki, etc. are all avatars of Narayana. So there's no debate about this. Bhagavad Gita also makes this quite clear. And what you're asking is specifically that when he speaks of his powers, he seems to be speaking as Brahman. Yes, there is no contradiction in this whatsoever. Narayana is Brahman, Brahman is Narayana. It's simply two different words pointing to two different aspects of, to state it philosophically and objectively, the absolute. Narayana is Brahman. Now, there's a lot of confusion about precisely what is meant by Brahman. Interestingly, even among some Vaishnavas, modern Vaishnavas, I have to say, not traditionally. Traditionally, there was no misunderstanding about, what is the difference between Brahman and Narayana? The traditional understanding is that they are the same being. Today, some people think that, Brahman points only to the quote-unquote impersonal aspect of God. Whereas when you speak of Narayana, you're speaking of more the personal aspect. No, that's not the case. They are the same being. The only difference is one in linguistics, not one as far as identity. As far as identity, they are pointing to the same person. But as far as linguistics, as far as language, as far as semantics, there is a necessary difference. And that is that when we're speaking in a purely philosophical manner, then we use the term Brahman. This is the case all throughout Vedanta. This is the case in the Brahma Sutras, which is the scriptural foundation of Vedanta. This was the case for all of the commentators on the Vedanta Sutra. This is the case for all of the Acharyas, whether we're speaking of Shankara or Ramanuja or Madhva or any of them, they all refer to that absolute as Brahman. And again, the reason why is to show philosophical objectivity. It's kind of like in the West, if you want to posit something about that which is higher than all, well, you can say God, but now you're bringing in, let's say, more theological implications. To be strictly philosophical, you would say the absolute. You would say the highest. You would say something else. So in the same way, this is the case with Sanskrit as well. So indeed, both Narayana and Brahman are pointing to the same being. When I'm reading the Vedic scriptures personally, and I've read the Brahma Sutras, for example, perfect example, I've read the Brahma Sutras multiple times, and pretty much every extant commentary. Whenever I am reading the Brahma Sutras and I see the term Brahman, in my mind, I know that means Narayana. And this was the case for all of the original Bhashyakaras, all the original commentators upon the Brahma Sutras. So they're the same being. So I hope that answers the question. Very good. And with that, give me just one moment, please. I had to fix a setting here very quickly. And now let me look at some other questions. Very nice. The same individual has said, "Thank you. I'm interested in joining the ISDS in the near future. The books so far are excellent. Thank you so much. I do hope that you will become a member." Let me look now at some more of these questions. Very good. All right, here's another question. It is, what do you make of the Saguna Brahman versus Nirguna Brahman distinction? If we grant the distinction, why can't I worship Shiva as the supreme Brahman? Seemingly a good question. And let me answer this very quickly. Because we cannot grant the distinction. This is a modern anachronism. So in other words, for the past, roughly 140 years to be exact, there has been this emphasis that started in Western academia, interestingly, and then spread to India and now has spread to the world, that Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman are radically distinct elements. And not only that, but by implication, this isn't always stated, but it's implied, not only are they radically distinct elements or concepts, but more that they are juxtaposed to one another. This is not the traditional understanding of Sanatana Dharma and of especially Vedanta. How do we see this? Many ways. First of all, the great, again, Acharyas speak about this and they make it quite clear. But also the very fact that in what is the second layer of Vedantic literature, i.e. the Upanishads. In fact, let me just state now, there's the Prasthana Traya, the three scriptural foundations of Vedanta. I mentioned the first one, Brahma Sutras. The second are the Upanishads, 108 Upanishads. Third is Bhagavad Gita. Well, in the second one, that is the Upanishads, what do we see? We see both Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman presented without conflict, without any sort of contention there whatsoever, without any confusion. There's no one in the Upanishadic literature, none of these great rishis, who will say, oh no, the Nirguna Brahman is wrong. No, Saguna, no. They present them both as equally accurate. And they are both equally accurate if we understand what each of these terms mean. So what is meant by Nirguna Brahman, very simply, is guna in this case. Let me back up for a second before I even give the explanation, because if you don't know Sanskrit, then you're lost, unfortunately. And I know Sanskrit. This is the difficulty, is that Sanskrita is the world's most complex language. Oh, I know there are some people who will try to pretend that they are competitors. I know that Finnish is very, very complex. German a little bit. Russian is very complex, etc., etc., etc. No. Sanskrita is the most complex language on the face of the earth, and of necessity, because it's also the most philosophical language on earth. That being the case, when you have a specific word, a specific term, whether it's a noun, whether it's a verb, whether it's an adjective, etc., what you will see, even if you go to something as rudimentary as the Monier-Williams dictionary, which is approximately this thick, that's rudimentary. For every one word, there are layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of meaning, and that necessarily so. That being the case, it has always been understood by the Bhashyakaras, that is, individuals who comment upon Vedanta, that when it comes to the term guna, there are multiple meanings. First of all, well, not first as far as importance, but as far as listing them out for you, guna, of course, means one of the three gunas, that is, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Well, that's obviously not what is being described necessarily with these two terms, saguna and nirguna. It also means material qualities. It also means qualities in general, attributive qualities of an existent thing. Now, all that being said, of course, this begs the question. Well, that being the case, how do I know how this, or for that matter, any Sanskrit word is being used within the context of a verse, of a passage, etc.? The way that we know is, number one, within that context. Number two, by the testimony of those individuals of the past who were most closely historically tied to that work and their lineage. This is how we know. So all this being the case, and I'm giving you the brief summation. I'm giving you literally a little nutshell. What's the smallest nut that exists that has a shell? You don't have to answer that. You don't need to answer that. So, all that being said, when we speak of nirguna, when the Upanishads speak of nirguna, and again the Bhashyakaras, the individuals who comment upon Vedanta historically, it's understood that by nirguna is meant no material qualities. That is, indeed, touching upon the three gunas, but more than just the three gunas, all guna that are material in nature. And by material in nature, we mean both grossly, but also subtly as well. By saguna, on the other hand, what is meant are precisely attributive qualities generally, and that includes spiritual. And in the case of this term Saguna connected to Brahman, Brahman being transcendental, necessarily those qualities of Brahman themselves necessarily being transcendental. See, this is how we know that Saguna is referring very specifically to transcendental attributes, transcendental qualities. So all that being said, when we see Nirguna and Saguna spoken of in different places, in different Upanishads, very simply what is being said is God is transcendent to all material qualities. God's qualities are purely spiritual. Very simple. Very simple. And again, this is what the Upanishads say. This is how the many, many statements of the Upanishads are reconciled perfectly, and this is the traditional understanding of Nirguna versus Saguna. So again, I gave you the briefest nutshell explanation of this. I hope it's helpful to you. If you want to know more, then continue to watch the videos, watch the live streams on this channel. Join our Discord server. When you go there, if you're not a member yet, go there with absolute humility and honesty. To enter the door of our Discord server, make yourself small. And when you approach God, make yourself small, because you are. As am I. As are all these beings existent within our universe. Make yourself small. Approach with humility. And if you really want to know what is the nature of Vedanta, we'll share that with you. Unadulterated, authentic, in accordance with the Vedic scriptures, not in accordance with any worthless scholar of the last 100 years, as they're smoking their pipe, eating their steak, sitting in their academic lounge and speculating. No, we'll give you the real thing, such that, intellectually, you'll be more than satisfied, but more, such that you will experience Brahman. That's what it's all about. So with that, thank you for the question. All right, this is an interesting question. Two questions, actually. First, Namaste, Sri Acharyaji. I want to ask two questions. One, who are Heracles, Persephone, and Hestia in the Vedic pantheon? And two, how does one destroy himself for God? Very good. First of all, as far as the first question, someone asked a similar question several weeks ago. I forget who the god was, but the person was asking me who a specific Greek god was in the Vedic pantheon, and I'll give him not quite the same answer that I will to you, but let me just kind of state this once and for all, because I do get questions like this. People will ask, this god in the Nordic pantheon, this god in the Persian pantheon, who is this in the Vedic pantheon? I try not to answer such questions because they smack of curiosity. And please don't take this personally. I'm not saying this of you. I'm sure you're asking this very, very sincerely, but I'm saying I've had hundreds of questions like this. Again, this specific person, who is this in the Vedic pantheon? And other than a small number of individuals who we do need to affirm, I try to avoid answering such things because they don't help us in any way. They help us academically, but I'm not an academician. I have a PhD. What I've done academically, if people knew, they would be amazed. But I'm not an academician. I'm not a scholar in any way whatsoever. Not in the traditional sense. Do I have a PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison and studied with some of the greatest minds on the face of the earth? Yes, I have. But I'm not a scholar. I'm a guru. And I like to answer questions like with the previous one. Nice philosophical questions. It's fun to do philosophy, but it's just intellectual. That gets us nowhere. A guru specifically helps an individual if Here's a nice philosophical propositional construct. If and only if they are sincere and honest, a guru helps an individual to become real. Can I state it any more bluntly? A guru is there to help an individual to stop lying to himself, to stop pretending, to stop being an illusion, to stop showing off. And if that person has a good inkling of sincerity, that they don't just want academic questions answered out of curiosity, but they have a deep yearning to know God, to the point where when they're alone, sometimes it just makes them cry. That's who the guru is there to help. And that's how the guru helps. Oh, can the guru answer questions? Oh, of course, you've seen that's the case. Every week you see that here on the live stream. But more than anything, the guru is here to help individuals to be real, to be true, to be their true selves. So I can't answer those questions. The second, how does one destroy himself for God? No one destroys himself for God. I'm not sure why you ask this in this way. Maybe it's a language barrier or something. No, we don't destroy ourselves. On the contrary. There are some people, I guess, who have this stereotype about ascetic paths, that you just kind of do austerities to the point where you dissolve into dust and somehow that proves something. No, this is not how we surrender to God. The way that we surrender to God is internally. That is, that, as I've said to people many times, as far as the externals, no, we can have a job, we can have a life, we can have a family, we can be involved in the world. Indeed, we should be involved in the world. That's how we change the world. But inwardly, we surrender everything that we are at the feet of Bhagavan. This is the message of, speaking of Bhagavan, Bhagavad Gita. This is the entire message of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And we can't take this lightly. Do your duty, O Arjuna. Do your duty. He says to Arjuna, but think of me. Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhijimam namaskuru madevashyasti satyamte pratijane priyosime. Krishna says to Arjuna, this is the path. Worship me, think of me, offer all of your homage unto me. But do your duty in the world, and in this way you will come to me. This is what Krishna says. So there is no destroying ourselves, there is surrendering ourselves. What we do destroy is ego. What we do destroy is that which is not ourself. We evaporate that which is not ourself. We evaporate what we've mistakenly, for how many lifetimes, who knows, what we have thought was our true self. The artificial self, the artificial I, ahamkara, that created, false, constructed I. We rid ourselves of that. But in order to then fully know and embrace and activate our true self, what we truly are. So we don't seek to destroy ourselves. We seek to once and for all, in honesty, embrace our true self, and with that true self, to surrender that self unto God in such a way that, as I said before, we become empowered. So this is what we are to do, is indeed to surrender ourselves at the feet of Bhagavan in such a way that we don't lose ourselves, no, we gain our true self. So I hope that answers the question. We don't seek to destroy ourselves. Let me just say one more thing about this. This is why also in Sanatana Dharma is the healthiest lifestyle conceivable. This is why in Sanatana Dharma we believe in being physically fit. This is why we eat healthy foods. This is why, if you're a serious follower of Sanatana Dharma, meaning that, again, you can be married, you can have a job, you can be a student, whatever. It's good to be engaged in the world. But then with the other time that you have, you eat organic food. You eat vegetarian food, not vegan. We're not going to starve ourselves of proteins in any way. No meat, no fish, no eggs. Dairy is good. Milk is good. Yogurt, cheese, etc., is good. In fact, we're encouraged to eat it. We're not vegans. We're not vegans. We believe in eating healthy. We believe in exercising. What does that mean? Yoga? Absolutely. That means yoga. That means going to the gym, as I've said a million times, and lifting weights, especially if you are or if you aspire to be a man, get to the gym and lift as much as you can in a healthy way, not to show off, but in a healthy way, incrementally, just going up and in weight, etc. It means that we want to have healthy water, healthy air. It means that we want, as followers of Sanatana Dharma, we love to hike in nature, go as deep in nature as possible, etc., etc. What to speak of destroying ourselves? No. We want to bring ourselves to optimal health and vitality on every level of who we are. We tell our people, there are some so-called Vedic groups out there, and they tell their full-time students, oh, don't get more than 6 hours of sleep. If you get more than 6 hours, you're in Maya. Fools. Fools. This is the opposite of Ayurveda and what has been taught to us in the Vedic scriptures. Oh my Lord, especially if you're a young person, if you're a teenager, there have been studies that have shown that if you get inefficient sleep, you will lose inches off of your height by the time you're an adult. You'll lose inches off of your height. No, you need to get sleep. You need to take care of yourself in every way. What is the tapasya that we do? The tapasya is sadhana. The tapasya is being virtuous. The tapasya means austerity for those who don't know. The tapasya that we do is be noble in every situation. Here's a situation where, it's kind of hard to be noble. Be noble. Make yourself. That's the tapasya that we do. But destroy ourselves? No. On the contrary, we want to make ourselves actually siddha, perfect for God. So I hope that answers the question. Very good. Very nice. Here is a very nice question. Namaste, Sri Acharyaji. I have a strong attraction to Lord Jagannatha. What is the significance of this form of Sriman Narayana, and what are the reasons for his unique appearance? Very nice. Before I answer this, first let me say, and I won't say names, I tend not to say people's names these days. I just want to let you know that we received your massive box of incense that you donated to the temple, and thank you so much. I haven't had a chance to thank you by messaging you, but since you're here, thank you so much. And indeed, we have it actually here under our altar. We've incorporated it into the other incenses that people have donated in the last several months. So thank you for that. Now, as far as the question, you say you have a strong attraction to Lord Jagannatha. That, first and foremost, is very good. Let me deal with that first. I've said many times that as Vaishnavas, as devotees of Vishnu, and that's very generally speaking, that's what Vaishnava means, we can personally be attracted to any aspect of Vishnu, any aspect of Narayana. And as long as it is indeed Vishnu Tattva, that is an aspect of Vishnu, that is perfectly good and fine. So people ask me all the time, oh, well, Acharyaji, I know that you're a devotee of Sriman Narayana, but I find myself a little bit more attracted to Rama or to Krishna, etc., different avatars, or even different aspects of Vishnu. And I'll always say to them, there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. On the contrary, that's wonderful. People will find themselves attracted to a specific form of Vishnu. In fact, I have said myself something that's really no one's business because it's very personal, but my own Ishta Devata is Sri Krishna. When I think of God, when I think of Sriman Narayana, I, in my own personal sadhana, meditate upon Krishna specifically. So again, it is all Vishnu. It is all Sriman Narayana. So the fact that you find yourself attracted to Lord Jagannatha is a very good thing. Jagannatha is an Archa Avatara, what is called technically Archa Avatara. There are several avatars, actual incarnations of Sriman Narayana who come in Murti form. Sri Venkateshwara is one of them. Jagannatha, Baladeva, Subhadra. These three Murtis together are another. So that's who they are. As far as their appearance, it's a long story. I have told the story several times, so I'm not going to tell the full story again. But let me just say, first of all, if there is someone out there who knows where I have told the story more recently and can put a link up of that video, please feel free to do so that he can see the full story. Let me just say there is the exoteric and the esoteric story. The exoteric story, and again, it's a long story that I've told many times. I will not tell that entire story again right now. To make it very short, there was a king who wanted murtis of Krishna, Balarama, and Subhadra to be created, but the stipulation of the sculptor is, yes, I will do it, but you can never enter to see them before until they are done. The king couldn't stand it. After many weeks and months went by, he broke in, and the murtis were not finished, and the sculptor disappeared. So the king decided, well, I committed an offense by doing this, but the murtis are here. I will begin to worship them anyway. And that's the exoteric story. The esoteric story is that these three murtis represent an actual story that took place when Krishna was the king of Dwaraka, and he, his brother Balarama, and their sister Subhadra decided to visit Vrindavana after they had been gone for a very, very long time. And they got onto 3 chariots and they proceeded toward Vrindavana with all of their attendants, etc. And as they get very close to Vrindavana, the residents of Vrindavana, knowing that they are coming, come out of Vrindavana to meet Krishna, Balarama, Baladeva, and Subhadra. And when they finally meet, the love that they had for each other, the ecstasy was so great that it is said that for many of them, but especially for Krishna, Balarama, and Subhadra, they went into such an ecstatic trance, unable to move, and their eyes, it's described, became like saucers out of love. That also is what these murtis are representing. That's why they look different. That's why, indeed, their eyes are very big, etc. It's representing God himself in the ecstasy of love. So I hope that answers the question. Very good. Very good. Here's another very nice question, very practical question actually, and it is, how does one harness Shakti for added strength in order to handle life's challenges? For me, I want a shift in my psychology. Even when I concentrate, I feel like all I'm doing is recentering my mind. Very nice. So very specifically, you want to harness Shakti. That is, you want to be empowered. You want to feel power, both the power of God, but then also that inherent power that is there, even physically, but then also as far as Sukshma Sharira, that is the subtle body, the subtle energies that are there. You want to feel these coursing through you such that you can accomplish good things in this world. Let me explain how this is done. First and foremost, what I said before, to cut to the chase, but then I won't stick just to this. I'll also be extremely practical and more down to earth as well. You need to surrender to God. When you surrender to God, you become empowered by God, as I said before. I'm not going to repeat myself. But now let me talk about the Shakti specifically. What you're saying is you want more strength in order to accomplish good things in this world. There are several things that you can do. First and foremost, and I don't know if you're married, if you're not married, it doesn't matter. As much as possible, practice celibacy, practice brahmacharya. And let me explain what I mean by this. Because again, I said even a moment ago, I don't know if you're married or unmarried, that's all right. What I mean is this. I'm assuming that you're a man because I'm looking at your name, and I'm assuming that you're of Punjabi and possibly even Sikh heritage, though that's not always the case. With your last name, you could be Hindu, you could be several things. But let me just say this, that when an individual wishes to have tremendous Shakti coursing through them, and if they are a man specifically, they want to retain semen as much as possible. Now again, this doesn't mean necessarily 100%, especially if you're married. But what it means is that very practically, the more that you practice semen retention, the more powerful you're going to feel. That's just a given. The other things that you can do in addition to this is rid yourself of any Shakti depriving, Shakti draining habits that you may have. And again, I don't know you, I'm just giving general advice. What does this mean? Don't smoke. Do not touch alcohol. It doesn't matter if your buddies think that it's something cool to do. Doesn't matter if all your friends do it. Do not touch alcohol. This rids you of all Shakti. You don't believe that? Meet an alcoholic. You'll meet someone who has no power to them whatsoever, especially internal power. Someone who has no real charisma, someone who has no power to accomplish anything. Rid yourself of any intoxicants like this, of alcohol, of any kind of drugs. If you smoke ganja a little bit, stop immediately, and without the excuse that, well, Shiva smoked ganja, you're not Shiva. Once and for all these little minds, Shiva has done a lot that you will never do in your wildest imagination. You're not Shiva. You never will be. So yes, rid yourself of any intoxicants like this and begin to do that which cultivates Shakti. That's all the negative. Now the positive. Do that which cultivates Shakti. What does that mean? That means do what your tradition has told you since before you were born. Start to practice yoga. Don't have yoga be just a word anymore. Start to practice yoga. Very simple. Start with Surya Namaskara. Everyone has access to Surya Namaskara. Start with that. It means that indeed you do meditate every day. And you said here, let me remind myself, even when I concentrate, I feel like all I'm doing is recentering my mind. Yes, indeed. Meditate. Don't just concentrate. Dharana. Dharana is concentration. That's one of the limbs. But dharana leads to dhyana. Dhyana is meditation itself. When you meditate and when you go within, you will begin to, in addition to, depending on what you're trying to accomplish with meditation. Let's say you're doing meditation for the right reasons, to know God. You will know God. But you will also access all of those inner Shaktis that are there within you as well. What also does this mean? What I was saying a short time ago. Indeed, build yourself even physically as well. See, this is what's interesting. In Sanatana Dharma, more than any tradition on the face of the earth, and especially the yoga tradition, we understand the distinction between the different dimensions of who we are. The physical, the emotional, the mental, the intellectual, the identity sense, and then finally Atman. We understand that they're all different. On the one hand. On the other hand, what is yoga? Yoga is learning to live in our present circumstance, that is, as eternal units of consciousness presently situated within the material world in physical bodies. We learn how to work as one. So what does that mean? You meet a yogi, it's someone who is physically healthy. It's someone who they have their emotions in check. It means that they have a deep and powerful mind. It means that they can philosophize. It means that identity, they know who they are, and they live as such. And more, they are living as Atman all throughout. So in other words, they have all these different aspects of themselves, which they know are distinct, integrated. So this is also how we build Shakti. What does this mean? Get into shape. And again, I don't know you. I don't know, you may be, you may have biceps bigger than my head. I have no idea. Or it could be the opposite. But in any case, this is advice just for people in general. Get in shape, get healthy physically. It means, yes, have a peaceful mind such that you can access all of these inner Shaktis that are there within. It means have your emotions under control. You see, it's one thing to feel so powerful internally, but then you use all that power to scream at people because you're angry all the time, you see? And you're just wasting it. So have your emotions in check. And that way you retain that Shakti, what Shakti you do have, etc. You don't have all these holes where the Shakti is leaking out, etc. So this is how you build that Shakti in such a way that you have added strength. And that is the word, is strength. Follow, and you don't need to be a Kshatriya. First of all, let me back up because I know you're Indian. Oh, when I use the word kshatriya, I'm not talking about caste. I think you know that. I don't care what caste you are. I'm talking about the mentality of the kshatriya. Practice that as much as you can. Doesn't matter if you're a brahmana, if you're a shudra, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can still practice the mentality of the kshatriya. You say you want strength. If you follow kshatriya dharma, if you follow the kshatriya marga, the path of the kshatriya, of the warrior, this means you will become strong. So what does that mean? Do everything that a warrior does. In your spare time, begin to do some martial arts. Like I said before, lift weights. As I said before, steep yourself in true meditation. Control yourself. When you don't control yourself, you see, why does yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, so many places, why do these places always stress self-control, self-control, self-control? It's because when you don't have that self-control, again, what is it like? Oh, you have all this, yes, Shakti built up, but each time you lose control, it's like a hole developed, and it's leaking out. Another hole, and it's leaking out. Learn self-discipline, self-control. Because what's the purpose of building Shakti if it's all just escaping? Etc. So I hope this is helpful. I can go much deeper. I try to make this as purposefully as general as I can, but take these words seriously. When the live stream is over, watch this again. Watch this video again. Listen carefully to what I said and take notes. And then do it. And do this for some time. You see, there are no magic pills in Sanatana Dharma. There is yoga, there is sadhana, there is discipline. That coupled with time gives us success. That coupled with time gives us success. So do everything that I've said. And then report back to me in a month, 2 months, and please tell me how things are going. And then maybe at that time I can give you further instruction. But yes, work toward being strong and building that Shakti as much as you can. Very good. Good. Here is a very nice question. I will absolutely answer this. Considering love for Sriman Narayana is the most important and meaningful, what role does love for people other than the Supreme Person play in our lives? That is a very, very good question, actually. Very good question. And let me tell you, I've not only encountered the question many times, but very sadly, I've also encountered people who did not quite understand the answer to this. And it's always very sad. So in other words, people who, they have this idea, which on the one hand is correct, but they don't quite understand it philosophically or more in practice. The idea being that, of course, of all beings to love, it is the Supreme Person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sriman Narayana, who we are to love. That's true. Now, unfortunately, I've seen some people take that idea and become fanatical about it to the point where they will quote-unquote love God. They're not really. They're by default not really loving God if they do what I'm about to say. They quote-unquote love God, and every other living being is just nothing to them. I've seen many people do that. Both philosophically, they'll literally say that, oh no, I love only Krishna and I don't care about anyone else. My wife, this, that, it's all meaningless. They're like clumps of dirt to me. They are pretending to be ascetics. They're pretending to be ultra spiritual, to kind of paraphrase J.P. Sears. They're pretending, I'm ultra spiritual. What? My parents, my pets, my this, my that. No, they're nothing. Only God matters. You can see where I'm heading. That's not real love. Those people don't actually love God. They love nothing. They actually love themselves. What's the proof of that? They're showing off. It's egotism. They're trying to pretend that they're these grand master superior yogis. And they're not. They're beginners. And what I'm going to explain will show precisely that they're beginners. When an individual begins to practice spirituality in a real way, in a living way, in a practiced way, in this world, what you begin to realize are several things, and this is what the Vedic scriptures explain to us. Number one, when it comes to other people, whether we're talking about family, whether we're talking about good friends, and when I say good friends, I mean that in both senses. Friends who are close to us, but who are also good people. So good in both senses, good friends. When it comes to individuals who we meet, and we may not even know them at all, but we can tell, oh, this is a good and innocent person. We are to be loving. Oh, let me go deeper. Do we have pets? And oh yes, it's perfectly fine to have pets in Sanatana Dharma. I've explained that many times. People who think otherwise, again, are kind of like the people who pretend that they can't stand their own family and nothing else matters to them but God. They're just faking it. No, if you have pets, you are meant to love those pets. You are meant to take care of them. You're meant to be affectionate toward them, to care about their well-being, etc. Now, this begs the question, why? Why is this the case, and why does Sanatana Dharma tell us in a million ways, both overtly, but then through story after story after story in all the scriptures, that you are to love those who are around you? Who are those who are around you? Who are they? You have a wife? Who is your wife? No, really, who is your wife? No, not your wife's name, beyond the name, beyond the face, beyond the gender, beyond the anything. You have a husband? Same questions. You have son, daughter, parents, this, that, the other. Who is that pet cat that you have? Ultimately, they are Atman. Ultimately, they are consciousness. They are a spark of consciousness that has that supreme consciousness, Sriman Narayana, as their source. That being the case, when we approach them, we're not approaching, you see, like the neophytes think. Every neophyte makes this mistake. When they approach another living entity, they see it as a thing. Oh, my wife? Oh, it's just a thing. My husband? Oh, just a thing. Oh, look, I'm ultra spiritual. No, you're approaching an Atman. You're approaching a unit of consciousness that literally was sourced in Narayana, and who Narayana loves. And that's the heart of the issue. Narayana, God, loves all the Atmans. Who are we to say, no, I love only Narayana, forget the Atmans? God loves the Atmans. So who are we to say that we don't? So indeed, there is no contradiction between loving God and loving that which proceeds from God. You see, do we say that, excuse me for even giving such a silly example, oh, Krishna, I love you so much, but that flute that you're playing, it's got to go. That peacock feather in your hair, Krishna, I love you, but no. We love God, we love all that which is connected to God. And that means also the Atmans as well. So there's no contradiction. We love Krishna, we love Krishna's flute. We love Krishna, we love that peacock feather in his hair, etc., etc., etc. We love Krishna, we love the bangles that he's wearing on his ankles. Indeed, we would worship such bangles. So in the same way, we love God, we love God's Atmans as well. There's no contradictions. We can love both. We can love both. We can love both. I aspire to love God, and I can tell you I love my disciples, each and every one of them. We can love both. So I hope that answers the question for you. It's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. Very good. Here is a good question. This is probably the last question that we'll take for today, only because it's already a little bit past the hour, and I try to limit these to 1 hour. But this is a multi-part question, and I will answer this next. And again, it may be our last question that we'll do. It is, Acharyaji, my humble obeisances to you. I sincerely hope that you and all ISDS associates have been faring well. let me say I can't speak for every single person because it's many, many people, but I am doing very well. The ISDS is doing well. And those devotees who I speak to on a regular basis are all doing well, and I hope that you are as well. So thank you very much for those well wishes. I have a slightly longer question. Generally, when I hear spiritual teachers use the word passion, it seems it is usually in reference to destructive or uncontrollable passion, as in lust or anger. Is there such a thing as good passion as well as bad, such as displayed by the musician playing from the heart, someone giving a moving speech, or the passion aroused in a warrior going into battle? Very good question. And let me just joke around with you a little bit. I'm going to give you the short answer first, but then the long answer. The short answer is yes. There's nothing wrong with passion when it's used for good. Absolutely. And the examples that you give, it's interesting. In the examples that you give, you almost kind of answer your own question. Could you imagine a musician? I have known so many musicians, it's amazing. Many of our devotees in the ISDS are musicians, either amateur or serious musicians, actually. Can you imagine a musician who has been in love with music, studied music for so many years, and they come to perform and they're just kind of like a robot? That would be crazy. That would be insane. No, when we have instead of passion, let's use this word. When we have an enthusiasm for something that is in concert with our swadharma, with our internal nature, then of course we should have that enthusiasm. Of course, it's not something that should be suppressed. And that means different things for different people. I can give, of course, hundreds and thousands of examples. Let's say an individual is someone who, they are a martial artist. And no, I don't mean that, they kind of take some classes on the side and, it's kind of a struggle for them. No, I mean, they are someone who, they are a kshatriya, a warrior in their spirit. And they have an enthusiasm for martial arts. And they go almost every day and they learn and they learn and they learn. And then they take 2 classes instead of 1. And when they're at home, they're watching YouTube videos more about martial arts, techniques that maybe they missed in a class, and on like that. They should be enthusiastic. Indeed, this is the case historically. How do we know that what I'm saying is correct? It's interesting. With so many of these answers that I give people, they're very easily confirmed if you read the Vedic scriptures. Look at the stories of sacred warriors of the past, someone like an Arjuna. And when you see, even when they are younger and they're studying martial arts, they have enthusiasm. Again, they're not just kind of there, oh yes, what? Shoot the arrow? All right, can I have an ice cream cone now? No. They have an enthusiasm that is there, that nothing else gives them in life. The same thing for a musician. The same thing, now let me jump to the ultimate point of this. This is true for the spiritual person as well. There's no such thing as a person who claims that they want to be spiritual, who's going to be successful on the spiritual path unless they have enthusiasm. Can you imagine a person, I've never been interested in spirituality. Let me read about it. All right, that's true. I guess it's true. I guess I'll practice it now. All right, now 10 years goes by. They've been meditating for 5 hours a day, doing yoga, etc. This is all right. This is nice. Yeah. And on. There is no such person who has ever been successful in spirituality. On the contrary, a person who is successful in spirituality is someone who has such an enthusiasm for it. And yes, you could use the word passion, and in this case, of course, in a sattvic way. How interesting. This can be a sattvic rajas. It can be a sattvic passion, where you have a passion, but it's not a passion that comes out of egotism. It's a passion that is there because you are doing that which is inherent to your very nature. It is natural to you. It is like breathing for you. And imagine if you are a spiritual person. Without that enthusiasm, you can do nothing. But now with that enthusiasm, oh, you will have success. You will have success. Let me tell you, every successful spiritual person who I've known, they had enthusiasm. They didn't approach it, though, like the example I gave before, as a robot, robotically. No. You approach spirituality excited and happy that, oh, it's a new day, and now I'm going to learn more. Now I'm going to do more. Oh, I'm looking forward to meditating. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to meditate for an hour. And in all humility, I just pray that with this meditation, I deepen my relationship and my experience of God. And you have an enthusiasm for this. So indeed, there is no contradiction between, on the one hand, being detached and on the other hand, being enthused about something that is of importance. And this is the mistake. Oh, when it comes to detachment, let me tell you, this is why I've often had to answer questions hovering around this concept of detachment hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. It's a very confusing thing for people. People don't understand what detachment means. They think that what it means is, indeed, you become robotic. And like I was saying before, oh, my wife, whatever, my this, my that, it means nothing. It's meaningless. I don't love anything. Maybe I'll love God. That's not what detachment is. What detachment means is you are detached from the ego. From the ego. So thus, if you can be a musician and play your instrument from the heart, if you can be someone giving a moving speech, if you can be aroused as a warrior going into battle, but you do it without ego, you can have that enthusiasm and yet you're detached. Why? You're not doing it for you. You're not doing it for material purposes. So again, it's detachment, vairagya. This detachment is something that's difficult for people to understand, also to put into practice. But once it's understood, you come to this perfect place of, indeed, walking on the edge of a knife, where you walk in such a balanced way, in harmony with the knife, such that you never get cut. That's what it means to be detached, to, on the one hand, transcend materialistic passion, rajaguna, but on the other hand, have enthusiasm for all the good things that you're doing. So I hope that helps, that answer. So with that, very good. We will stop here, and again, I apologize for individuals for whom I could not get to your question. I apologize for that very much. We tried our best. We will have another live stream next week, in which if I didn't get to your question, please feel free to ask your question again, and hopefully we'll have time to get to it. If not next week, then the week after, etc. And let me just reiterate several things before I leave you for this week, for this Sunday. First of all, again, if you have not yet done so, please join our Discord server. If you are sincere, if you are someone who is honest, if you are someone who wishes to come to our online community and approach it as an online temple, which is what it is, which means, again, you make yourself small. You leave your shoes at the door and you enter with humility. If you wish to come, not to try to educate us, trust me, in a million years you could not educate us. But if you want to come to learn about Sanatana Dharma in ways that you could not even imagine in all the books that you've read thus far, if you want to learn about yoga, if you want to learn about sadhana, if you want to learn about what is truly the meaning of life, and not just here, but in actual living, please join our Discord server, and you will find a community of hundreds of devotees from dozens of nations throughout the world, where there is live chat going on 24/7, and they will be happy to encourage you, to answer your questions, and to help guide you deeper and deeper in your experience of authentic and real spirituality. So join that Discord server. The other thing is, please visit our website, dharmacentral.com. dharmacentral.com. When you go there, you'll see, not all, because I don't believe we have all of our books on there yet, but the vast majority of our books are available on there. We have about 12 or 13 books. you'll see that they are available. Please purchase them when you can. Also, if you want to deepen your knowledge of this tradition, like no other books in existence can teach you. We have a mantra meditation album that is available that is truly beautiful. It was produced by one of my students who is a truly, truly wonderful professional. He's retired now, actually. He was a professional music producer. And he created a beautiful album with myself reciting mantras, and he did the music production for that in the background. But you'll see that that's available there. Also, if you can donate to the ISDS, that is something that, we don't shy away from this. We are a religious nonprofit 501c3 organization. We are a nonprofit religious organization. We need your donations because we are a growing movement, and we use your donations to help this movement. So please donate. If you want to do a one-time donation, it can be $1. Again, we're waiting for that angel donor. It can be $1 million. Please donate. If you want to become a member of the ISDS, you can do so also by visiting dharmacentral.com. You look on the menu and you'll see membership information. And we ask that you tithe something. It can be, again, as little as a few dollars, $5, $10. We have people who monthly donate a lot of money, actually. But if you want to become a member of the International Sanatana Dharma Society, that also helps us with everything that we do as a growing international movement. And with that, again, please join us again next Sunday as we continue with the live streams. Next Sunday, I will give an actual talk on a topic. I have not decided yet what it will be. But please join us again next Sunday. And please continue to help the ISDS in every way that you can. Please continue yourself to grow spiritually and in every way that you can. And with that, Namaste. Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Shriman Narayana.
Jaya Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Jaya Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
Jaya Shri Guru.
Jaya Shri Guru.
Sanatana Dharma Jayate.
Sanatana Dharma Jayate.
Dharma Rashtra Jayate.
Dharma Rashtra Jayate.
Surya Vangsha Jayate.
Surya Vangsha Jayate.
International Sanatana Dharma Society Jayate.
International Sanatana Dharma Society Jayate.
May the inevitable victory of Dharma be so. Evam bhavatu. May it be so. And it shall be so. With that, everyone, between now and the next time that we get together, I ask you all to both take very good care of yourselves and do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear.